Hello, Earthlings. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for coming and joining us on this beautiful yet very hot and muggy here in New Jersey Thursday night. We have Chillax in chat. I am coming to you. I just got really confused. Live from my bedroom as always, and I'm trying to get my camera to stop shaking there. If I can stop putting my foot against it, that would be great. Miss Smoochie, just want to say thank you right off the bat. I got your gifts today, and I do really appreciate them. Let me start at the top here before I bring my lovely other hosts in. Grey Wolf, it's so nice to see you. Ralph and Cassie Francis, we missed you last night. We were hoping that all is well. Blue Crossroads, floor swept, furniture dusted, yard cut, dogs fed, laundry done, and beds made. Yes, downtime with the crew. That's my morning tomorrow. Vixen Doe, hey girl, didn't see you last night either, I don't think. Slow Motion, welcome back. And Edna as well. Smoochie, Smoochie. What happened, Smoochie? What happened? Let me bring them in, Mr. Ghostdragonzw and the lovely Miss Paranormal Pixie.
Hello, everybody.
Oh boy. So it hit 92 today.
Oh my.
Here. Yeah, and I thought it was nice because overnight I had the windows open and the nice little cross breeze, and it was very, very comfortable. And then this morning I went to do yoga, and by the end of it, I was like, what is going on? And my mom's like, I should probably put the air conditioner on. It's like going to be 90 today. But, it was a nice change. I didn't have to be all bundled up when I went outside. And that is always a plus because I hate sleeves. I just don't do sleeves. Short sleeves, I can do. But
short sleeves.
When you see me in long sleeves, I am very uncomfortable no matter the weather.
You're probably like me. I'm constantly just pushing them all the way up to my elbow if they are long because I can't. Yeah.
It's just pointless for me. Like even like heavy jackets, I have a really hard time with them. Which is, I actually, before I started getting to know people more on YouTube, I used to catch a lot of flack for that. People would be like, it's the middle of December. Why are you wearing a tank top? And I'd be like, I'm in my house, number one. I do have a thing called heat. And number two, I just don't like sleeves. So last night, I wanted to bring this up before I forgot and right away. So I already know what I have to do about it, and I already know it's not a good thing. But I was shocked because it's the first time I've ever had to deal with something like this. Okay. So I was watching Paranormal Night Shift, and they are true stories. I don't know if you guys have ever watched that. It's on Investigation Discovery or the ID app, Discovery Plus, whatever it's called. And there was one episode that I must have watched 20 times. It was about this girl. She was working at a fast food place, but she was kind of working the night shift. And, the cups that she had just stacked came crashing down. Nobody else was in the place. And then all of a sudden she looked up and there was a couple standing at the counter, and they scared her because she didn't hear the bell go off when they came in, and they seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. So she goes up and she asks them what she can get them, and they're arguing back and forth. The girl's going, oh my God, they're going to find us. And the guy's going, shut up, keep it cool. And she's like, I thought they were going to rob me. So eventually they ask for a black coffee, and she gets their coffee and they go sit down at the table. She brings them their change, and then someone comes through the drive-thru. And for some reason, this fascinated me. She goes to the drive-thru and it's the couple. Only the couple sitting in their seats still. It was the exact same man and woman, and the man asked, is there anybody else in there with you? But she was so scared that she was like, no, nobody else. And the guy's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. So the guy's like, well, let us get a black coffee. So ordered the same thing. She goes to get the coffee. The two people who cannot be seen from the drive-thru, come up from her, like the table, and they're like, listen, if those people look exactly like us, put this in their coffee. And she's like, I can't contaminate somebody's coffee. And the guy's like, listen, you don't even want to know what's going on here. Put this in their coffee. Trust us. And the lady is like freaking out the whole time in his ear. So the girl said she kind of felt a little bit like she was being compelled because she did it. She handed it to them, the people, and the guy took a sip of it, and then the car and the couple vanished. And then the people behind the counter were gone too. And there was a massive tip at the table and a note that said, "Thank you for helping us make our demons go away." She thought she was losing her mind. When her manager came, she told her manager. Her manager didn't believe her. They looked on the surveillance footage, and sure enough, it all showed on the surveillance footage. So doppelganger. Last night, as I was cleaning up, I was, I had my computer, my Red Bull, my water, all my other stuff. And I put it down and I'm about to go into the kitchen to grab my water, and I wanted a slice of pie before bed. So I go walking into the kitchen and Damien's coming down the stairs. He's going into the kitchen and I said, "What's up, D?" And he didn't answer me. He just kind of kept going into the kitchen. So I was like, oh, maybe he has to go to the bathroom and my mom's in the one upstairs. So I go, I eat my pie, I get my water. And as I'm going back to go upstairs to turn the light off, I realized there's nobody in the bathroom downstairs. There's nobody in the kitchen downstairs. I look up the stairs. Damien's light's on at the bottom of his door, and I hear him cough from inside of his bedroom. Damien was not downstairs. So now the energy in the home has taken on full-blown doppelganger. I want to know what you guys think about that. I'm going to pull myself out for a minute because I don't know if you guys heard, my phone just went off like 15 times. So I want to turn it off and also see what that's about. I'm listening, though, in the background, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, so personally, I've never had any direct experience with doppelganger phenomena. I have known, close, friends, family that have had that happen. The first thing that came to my mind was actually dimensional slip. And when I say that, I think about the idea that our realities exist like sheets of paper right next to each other. And was that couple and then the second couple in the driveway truly the same couple, but on slightly different versions of dimensions? But because at the base level they are the same beings, they could see each other in a manner that made them think that they were demonic. Is that 100%? I have no way of being able
my
to
guess
say
is
so.
they were probably doppelgangers. They were probably evil doppelgangers. That's usually the case.
Well, and that's the thing, if they were, why? How did they come about? How did they attach to those people? It's definitely a good rabbit hole. And then what's going on with you, Gemma? I mean, if you are seeing something that is mimicking a family member, again, you need to, I would intuitively say, sit with your guides and your guardians and ask them to help you read into deeper, why are they there? How did they get there? And how do you make them go away? Now, you and I both know all the basic ways to deal with something of that ilk, but because this is specific to you and your abilities, I think you need to dive deeper on that.
Well, one of the things, immediately my mom even said to me that she's never seen me scared before. And it's actually a running joke in my family. Gemma's not afraid of anything, paranormal.
Yeah.
I'll walk down the streets of South Patterson at night without any weapon on me, like at 2 a.m. Like I don't live by fear. And especially when it comes to the paranormal. But my mom said I even sounded like really shaken up. And I only vaguely remember that. Like it's like a vague memory. So I did not have a chance yet, because when I go to my guides, I try to go, it's not a casual thing for me. I know a lot of people think that it's kind of like when I speak with the dead, where I just sit and kind of have casual conversations and joke with them. When I go to my guides, it's with a very deep measure of respect. So there's a whole ritual that I do, which I just haven't had time to do yet. One of the ideas for the show, though, the reason that that girl might have been dealing with them, and this was one of the first things that I thought of, was it was very weird the way that they showed it. But as I kind of looked a little bit deeper into it myself, so she just was in the right place or the right or wrong place at the right or wrong time, where it was believed that these people had died in a car accident or something like that down the road somewhere. And there was some sort of interdimensional crossing, some supernatural flip that switched somewhere. Yeah. And they didn't realize that they were dead. And the other people, it was like, it was so interesting to me, though. And this was only about a month and a half ago that I saw this for the first time. And I remember just watching this episode over and over and over. And I'm not usually that interested in a show to watch it 20 times in a row, but it just, there was something about it, about doppelganger phenomenon in general, that really freaks me out. And it really creeped me out, the way you could tell she was nervous. She was like picking at the skin around her fingernails. And I was like, ooh, that is creepy. I hope that ever happens to me. And now a month and a half later, and my mom's like, are you sure it was Damien? I'm like, Mom, I know what my son looks like. So my mom's thinking, like she always is, that there's a human intruder in the house who I just happened to mistake for our 18-year-old. I don't know. I guess fear is a very strange emotion where it makes you think very strange things. So she was convinced someone had walked through the front of the house and then, through the house out the back door. And I'm like, it was Damien. Like I wasn't, Damien, I know what he looks like. I know what his clothes look like. So I do have to go into ritual to speak with my guides. And a part of me is a little nervous about doing that because I am going back home on, Sunday, and my mom and Damien are going to be here. I still have not cleansed the house for them. And like I said, especially with the shadow entities, what I think is a jinn and some other things that are here, I can get rid of most of it. Some of it I can't, but I can, at the very least, I got rid of it for 8 months. And then it started little by little, the activity happening again. But that's why you don't just sage your house and clear your house once a year, guys.
No, you make it a regular practice. Did you put the black tourmaline in the corners of your mom's bedroom?
The black tourmaline right now, because when you said that,
one piece in each corner.
Yes, I had not only in the corners of her bedroom, I did it throughout the house. And it was really cool because I buy for the people that I send boxes to or gifts to. I always send a small selenite wand and a piece of black tourmaline. I send that to pretty much everyone. So I buy it in bulk. So at the end of the black tourmaline, the big bag it came in, there was all black tourmaline crumbles already at the bottom. And I actually had half of a Ziploc bag full. So I said, why stop at her room? I'm going to do the entire house. The activity in her bedroom has gotten a lot better. She's no longer being attacked, assaulted. She's still, I think, a little jumpy. And I still think she's getting visits from my stepfather where he's still not showing himself to her. And she doesn't understand the difference between energy, right? My mom does not work with any ability that she has. She kind of just takes my word for it and everything else scares her. So I think the one time he did show himself to her and she clearly saw him standing in the doorway with his baseball cap on and everything, she screamed. So, of course, he's going to know, being in spirit, that she's not ready to see him yet. But I do think he lurks. And I think that a lot of the time, now that I did that in her room, it's not what she thinks it is. I think that it's him and, like, my grandmother, her brothers that have passed, who she just can't tell the difference between the energy because she's so used to being scared. My mother lives in literal fear.
Have you made smudge spray? Do you have smudge spray?
I probably do. I just don't call it that.
Basically, you make extraction like this one. is made by a local that does all the botanicals, um, a tincture that you can then spritz around. Because I know that your mom
Yes.
has allergies to the smoke.
Yes.
Okay. So with something like this, what I am getting intuitively is you need to go starting the east, going clockwise room through each room, start in the eastmost room
Yes.
and go east throughout the room. And you're going to spritz this in each of the directions. Okay. Do that throughout the whole house. You've already got the tourmaline. What was the other?
This
Okay.
is a part of what I'm doing tomorrow because I make that stuff homemade and I send that stuff out. I just don't. I don't know why. I really
Do
don't.
you have
And
any
I'm
loose
so
jingle bells?
guilty.
Small
Probably, yeah.
bells? Find them. Okay. Tie at least one. I'm getting preferably 3 on a piece of red thread, red yarn, ribbon, whatever. Tie one on whatever would be the front door and what would be the back door and on the handle. And say if your mom asks, like it bothers her, say it's something special you're doing for a friend.
Well, she'll leave them there.
That
Like
friend happens to be me.
right. My mom trusts me very much. She knows that I know what I'm
Okay.
doing. She knows that this is what I do for a living, but I think she has an issue like where she sees me get scared. She doesn't understand like I'm only human too.
Right.
And when it comes to something like with the doppelganger, the reason I'm so scared is because I know that that cannot be good no matter what. As far as the smudge spray, I do make it. I actually showed it on stream last night. I sent it out. I use black witch salt in it too, but I'm going to do all of the ritual that I did, a year ago where I got everything kept at bay. And the bell, like she'll leave them there because anything that I tell her, she trusts me. She believes me. She knows I've been doing this forever. I think it's
A month
just
and a day.
seeing me scared is what threw her off because I mean,
Yeah.
like I said,
Well, yeah, of
it's
course it would. One, first and foremost, she's your mom. Nothing scares a mom more than to see their child scared.
well,
So, first and
it's
foremost, there's that. And then she knows about your abilities.
It's that,
So, yeah,
it's that she like I said, it's like Gemma's not afraid of anything. It's just everyone just assumes that. They don't realize that sometimes I am scared, but I'm just so naturally used to dealing with it.
yeah,
I must have
desensitized.
been
Yeah.
I must have been really scared last night because Damien and I both closed our doors after this happened, just at the same time. We just happened to be coming in from the hallway, and I hear my mom going, "Hello, who's there?" It's like her door must have moved a tiny bit, and she thought we were like knocking. So I had 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
Slow motion, maybe I manifested it. I don't think my powers of manifestation are that good that I would that quickly within a month have manifested one. But I do think it is entangled with everything else that's been going on in the house that I've been flat out ignoring and not doing anything about all this time, And Smoochie, yes, the cedar is going to be incorporated into the rituals that I do tomorrow. And it's also really good for me reaching out and connecting to my guides as well.
Add some cedar to your spray.
Yeah.
It actually works very well. This one in particular does have cedar. No, the other thing I was going to touch on is that what I was picking up on, the reason you watched that particular program as many times as you did was not just the fear fascination, but your guides, your guardians sitting behind you going, "You're not getting the point. You're not listening. Watch it again. Watch it again.
And it
Watch
makes
it again."
total sense. A week
Yeah.
ago, my mother is like, "How did I never come across the show Paranormal Night Shift?" She's like me. She watches everything all at once and then there's nothing left. I said, "Well, it's actually a new show. I saw all of them." So she has trouble with the fire stick. I was helping her. I said, oh my gosh, wait till you get to that one about the doppelgangers. Oh my gosh, it scared the crap out of me. Like, it's been this recurring theme, and I didn't realize it until now I'm talking about it looking back. It has been that particular episode of that particular show has been a recurring theme in my life since the first time I watched it a month and a half ago. And you're absolutely right.
You'll appreciate this, because the more we're talking about it, the more I'm realizing that is probably the one and only episode of that program I have ever seen.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious. Or living serious, take your pick. No, absolutely.
Now that's something.
Because also, and I know you find this too, as you go through your daily experiences, that even the signs and synchronicities we don't pick up on are still signs and synchronicities. Like the fact that in my classes, the last 3 weeks, we've been working on creating a deeper relationship with our guides, with our guardians, to understand the signs and synchronicities.
Right when they happen.
Everything just makes absolute sense. And, right down to, and you know this, because Gemma and Stephen and I have talked privately, and I was able to read into her home and some things that were going on, and give her descriptions of things in and around and outside that I would have no way of
knowing. No way she could have known, because she's never been to New Jersey, let alone my mother's house.
Never seen pictures.
That blew me away. And that's why I wanted you on the show, because that proves to me right there that you are the absolute real deal. And that's why I back you and tell people, well, I'm going to go ask Lara about that if I don't know, because I trust you. You've proven yourself to me.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Not that you had to.
And I get flashes.
Yeah.
Like what we were describing at that point in that conversation. And, in the flash, had you put the stones in your mom's room, the flash of seeing in my mind, like somebody's holding a picture in front of my face, the bells hanging on your doors.
Yes.
And so that, I guess part of it is I'm trying to help others understand that the way spirit communicates with us, it can be similar, but it's different and specific to each individual person.
That's really,
but they talk to each other like we do. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And they do. And that's the thing too, though, guys, that what Lara just said, a lot of it made so much sense. And I don't want to breeze past it, because one of the things you said is, whether we recognize signs and synchronicities or not, basically, they're still there. Okay. So when you're seeing flashes, Lara, you described my entire kitchen and back dining room area of my mother's house. You described a portion of the corner down by the street there that you couldn't have possibly known. You guys have to understand, when I tell you guys, pay attention to thoughts that you know for a fact aren't yours. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of energy that I'm talking about. When something just so seemingly random pops into your head. I remember one night reading Oracle for no reason at all. I just kept seeing Lotus Girl laying on the bed with one of these carved selenite pieces that I had on her belly button. So the very next day I picked it up, I wrapped it up, I sent it out to her. And I told her that, and she was using it, and it was helping her to heal certain things that she was going through. And I don't know where that came from. I mean, I know where it came from, but I don't know why it came to me in that way. With my guides, like I said before, it's not where, like, spirit right now, I can just turn around and look and start talking. And even if no one's there, someone will be in a minute, because somebody wants to converse with me. Either way, because I can hear them. With my guides, I guess I could do that. And I think I used to do that a lot more than I should have. Kind of casually, but I just don't feel right about it being a casual thing. And the way that I see things like that, like with my guides, I can't physically see them like I see spirit of deceased people.
Right.
for me, it's always, it's images of like outlines of human beings bipedal like humans, but it's always like angels would be all completely white and almost creepy, whereas guides to me are all bright light. So a lot of the time I don't like look up at them. It's like staring directly at the sun, but I'll know they're there because it'll be like the sun is shining inside of my room. And I usually do that with offering and things like that. And that is something I really have to get on. And tomorrow, when I clean my mom's house, which I do every Friday for her so she doesn't hurt her back, I'm going to, after I do the regular human cleaning, like dusting, vacuuming, and scrubbing the floors and all that good stuff, I'm going to have the conversation with my guides and then move through probably about an hour to 2 hours of ritualistic cleansing, clearing, and cleaning of the entire house and outside property, because I don't feel comfortable leaving on Sunday and leaving my mother in this situation. She feels safer with just me being here, as she should, because a lot of the time, whenever something happens, I do know what it is immediately. And I'll tell her, this is what you need to do. Don't do this.
Right.
I like to not show fear. I like to laugh in the face of the demons, so to speak, because it confuses them. It throws them off, and there's nothing they can do about it. And it doesn't feed them.
Right. And that's how we're most powerful against those, quote, negative energies, is not just don't show any fear, just don't have any fear. There is no reason to fear because you yourself have that strength within you to repel them. And yeah, we're animalistic beings that have that little worm in the back of our head that says, I'm in danger. And therefore the fear thing crops up.
Yes.
But when good example. So the last time I saw a shadow being was at my mom/grandparents' house. I say that because mom lives there now. My grandparents were the ones that purchased it initially. And I was sleeping in the back bedroom. Now, my mom is handicapped, and when she lays down, she doesn't get back up again until the next morning. While she does have one cat, said cat gets into bed with her, curls up under her arm, in the crook of her arm, goes to sleep, stays there most of the night. I had laid down, was looking out the hall, and I could see shadow going back and forth. And I'm like, okay, something's obviously wrong. Got up, looked down the hallway, because, first thought in my mind is, okay, mom's gotten back up. Something's seriously wrong. I need to go check on her. Walk out in the hall. There's nothing there. Walk down the hall, peek around the corner to where her room is, and she and the cat were sound asleep. I'm like, okay. Rather than go, oh no, there's something demonic in the house and it's going to get me and I'm going to die. And I went, what's the most logical explanation? After, okay, mom's not out of bed.
Obviously,
cat wasn't walking back and forth in front of the nightlight, because the nightlight actually sits about 5 feet up off the floor on the top of the bookshelf. And whatever was going by was blocking up light. Now, of course, like you, I have the advantage of having grown up with this. So I have a little bit different train of thought than most people. But my thoughts still went to, what's the most logical? Well, let's see. My great-grandmother died in that house.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother died in that house. And my grandfather died in that house. Okay. So instead of allowing myself to get freaked out, I went back to the room, sat down on the edge of the bed, closed my eyes, do what I do to pull in information, use my claircognizance. And I said, okay, who was that? Not what, but who? And immediately I heard my grandmother's voice in my head.
I have a
And
question for you.
so I'm like, okay, that makes absolute sense. Her old bedroom was directly across the hall, and that's the direction she would walk back and forth
Okay.
every night at about 11 p.m., which it was, to get water. So it was her energy, not what we think of as a typical shadow being. And I
Okay.
could have allowed fear to take me directly down that rabbit hole of, oh my God, it's a shadow being, and get spun up about it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, Stephen, I do want your thoughts on all of this. There was one thing I think that you just answered it for me, though, Lara. And I know it probably sounds like a very ignorant question, but keeping in mind that I've spent my entire life hiding this and not talking about it, for me, a shadow being to me is pretty much always a shadow being because, like, there's 3 dead people in here right now, and they're all just sitting cross-legged on the floor listening to our conversation. And I see
Sure.
them as clear as day. There's an elderly woman with the typical old blue hair, curls, with each just got her hair done with the big old 1970s glasses. There's this young emo kid. I don't know where he came from. I've never seen him before. And then there's another lady here. So for me, a shadow person is almost always a shadow person. So I guess what you were explaining, if I understood it right, is that because, I mean, we've talked a lot about how your abilities are different than my abilities, and they're the same abilities, but manifesting differently inside of us. So
Right.
you would have had to reach out to that energy in order to physically see her, which is why at first your initial thought was that it could have been a shadow person until you thought about it rationally and logically. So they don't
Yeah,
always appear to you as they appear to me, where I see them clear as day, which there's nothing
exactly.
wrong or bad about that. It baffles me. I still can't get used to other people not seeing them.
Right. And it's also in the same way that someone else I know, where you would see them as a physical, solid object, solid person, they see them as the quote typical apparition, where they're transparent, where they're ghost-like, and 90% of the time that's how they see them.
Okay.
So with clairvoyance, claircognizance, it's all going to be a little bit, what's the right word? Individualized. Um, Not saying that I wouldn't necessarily see a ghost as a solid person, but that's not my norm.
Okay.
Same for you, wouldn't necessarily see it as a photograph in your thoughts. So it's, back to the, situation you're dealing with doppelganger. Started to say shadow, and it's like, no, it's not a shadow, it's a doppelganger, and it's a mimic. So again, the way my information comes through is that photographic um, imagery or knowing. I'll get a word, I'll get a thought, an idea, and it's totally not mine. And what I get is what you're dealing with is a mimic,
Yeah. Well,
not a
that
doppelganger, a mimic.
I
It's a
just got
different
such severe
entity.
chills when you said that, and I know it's so bad. I know it.
So, okay, I'm glad I could validate some of that for you.
Oh,
And this helps me because not, I live in a science-based community that there's like less than 1% of the population I can openly talk in this kind of conversation with.
I know.
And so I don't get much opportunity to actually read for people, to help people with their issues.
And that's a shame
So
because you
being able to
are
do it,
really good
Yeah.
at it. And you are
I
very
appreciate
on
that.
point. And I love that even though you have so much natural ability, you're still so open to learning. And like me, I never have a problem admitting when I was wrong about something, because when I'm wrong about a message, whether it's to myself or to someone else, it's never spirit's fault. It's my fault because I'm misinterpreting it. You know what I mean? It's never that spirit gave me the wrong information. It's that I interpreted the information differently. And I have said some whoppers, like when I look back, but I just started coming into all this and being able to publicly speak about it too. And I just started feeling comfortable enough to actually learn more than what it is I already know. So
Right.
Grey Wolf says it's so interesting how we all experiencing things so differently. And it's crazy how we experience the same things so differently. Stephen, you haven't said anything. What are your thoughts?
Yes.
I have none. No. Actually, these are interesting subjects because it is true. Everybody experiences things and sees things through different eyes. What we may see and experience, and it may be the exact same thing, but there's somebody will see it a whole different way. So you got to get used to that. That's for shadow folks and all this other stuff. It's real. You know, when you
Hmm.
have a mimic or even a doppelganger. Now, people don't forget, doppelgangers usually come out of mirrors. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's usually a reflection, the mirror end of this aspect. Every doppelganger story I've ever heard, every doppelganger that I've ever seen has originated from a mirror of one sort or another, or a reflection. Um, And a mimic is kind of like a skinwalker, their abilities to mimic and do anything they want. Now that makes them scary because, you know, like there was children. There's a story about a child seeing an Elmo. A lot of people said it was an ET posing as Elmo in real life,
Hmm.
but other people don't think that. Other people think that it might have been a demon using the image of Elmo to take the child. And everybody
Right.
has a different interpretation. And I always said, when I see shadow people and all this stuff, I have three different types of shadow people. I will say this every time. You got the humans, shadow people. Sometimes I can see form. In other words, I can see the image in the shadow, get an idea what they look like. Most of the time, they're just like a faded shadow. I could barely see. I can make it out it's human. And then you have the angelic or demonic shadow entities. And I've seen a lot of the other one lately, a lot, and it's making me nervous.
Well,
And then the third one I see that I can never place a pin on, which Gemma seems to think that, which is highly possible, they could be dimensional or something like
I
that.
talked about this a lot in my third book. I have another question about, well, not question, I have another observation about doppelganger, but I do think that some of them are interdimensional. Yes, Stephen.
oh, yeah, definitely.
But I
There's
have,
no doubt about it.
but lately it's been scary stuff I've been seeing. I don't know. It's because I'm stressed out and going through a lot right now. But man, I've seen
That's
some
part of it.
stuff lately. There's some stuff I've seen follow other people, and it's never me. It's always other people. Um,
Part of it too is your gifts.
I'm
One,
not allowed to block my gift, so
energetic,
people need to understand that now. They don't want me. I cannot block it no matter what I do.
right? And your gifts are such right now. One, you're thrown off balance. You've been uprooted from your home. That puts us in, think like a state of static electricity. It's like you've
Right.
been dragging your feet on the carpet and you're shocking everything you're touching. Okay. And so be, because of that and what you are able to do naturally, it's all being amplified because of what's going on with the planet. Does that
Oh,
make
there's a
sense
lot
to you?
going on. Yes.
You understand where
It's
I'm
just
coming
not
from?
what I'm
So
going through.
it's
There's
um
changes being made
right.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Everything's at a heightened extent.
exactly. exactly. The human
I'm aware.
residence,
I'm very aware of what's
um,
going on.
you know,
Just
it
sometimes you
has
hate
been
it when
doing
you
some
don't have
crazy things.
control of it.
We've got the solar flares and, electromagnetic energy, definitely fuels this kind of thing. And for those of us that with abilities, our abilities are all being taken up a notch or 10. Um, and for those that have never used their abilities, those abilities are being awakened. So while I understand the distress that you're feeling, I also am not surprised by it, if that makes sense. Um, I think you and I need the stuff that I'm getting. I'm not supposed to share it except with you. Gemma's, yeah, Gemma can hear too. What I'm getting, but you and I need to talk off camera about some of this to help you discern what is what.
I'm only
Oh,
looking
no
up
problem.
something that I wanted to go over with you
Yeah.
guys in a minute here. That's why I look like I'm not paying attention, but I am listening, guys.
No, I know you're paying attention. I
No,
can tell, girl.
I have my spiritual advisors. I pretty much know what's going on. I'm
I
very
was
aware.
Yeah.
looking up. So when you said the word mimic, it hadn't even occurred to me, and I'm wondering if. And I will let you guys know all of this next Thursday once I do speak to my spirit guides, because for me, a mimic it gave me such chills that I knew that it was right on point, but. I'm trying to see, it's really like depending on where you look and depending on who you ask, whether the the mimic is the one that finds out everything that it can about the person it's mimicking and then takes them over, or some other places say, or other places and other people say that it's the doppelganger. But one thing I wanted to just bring up quickly, not really in the vein of what we're speaking about, but it was something interesting I came across with a client last week. So this client was having activity in their house. Again, everyone always thinks just because something bad happens that they're dealing with evil and, demons. And it wasn't that. And I think it's just something that's worth mentioning is what happened was when I took a look into it and figured out what was going on. It was that there was a mother and daughter who had passed very close to the home that my client lives in. And I know this because not only did the mother tell me that, but I looked it up because I like to also validate when I can the information I'm getting. I'm not always right, which is why I don't like channeling deceased loved ones in the middle of like Wednesday night stream, because I'm not always right. I'm still learning to work with that ability. If a spirit is completely earthbound, meaning they got hit by a train, they died, they didn't even hear the train coming, and they died so suddenly that they still think they're alive, that's a lot different. That's what I call, and what most people refer to as, an earthbound spirit. That's a lot different than someone who does realize they passed on, crossed over to the other side, and comes back to visit. What was happening was the mother who did cross over was so incredibly frustrated because, guys, earthbound spirits who do not know they're deceased do not recognize other spirits. Earthbound, they will, but the mother could not connect with her daughter to get her to come home, to cross over. And she was causing major poltergeist activity. She was kind of throwing tantrums. I mean, wouldn't you? 60 years goes by and your child is still a child stuck on earth, having no idea they're deceased when they can be in heaven with you or wherever you guys believe that you go, right? So what I had to do was, it almost made me cry. I projected the light out, and luckily this was someone who lives very close to me. I was able to go there instead of doing everything virtually, because sending light out is very hard to do through video. I mean, it can be done, but it's a lot more energy and effort, and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of will. It can be done, but if you can do it in person, always do it. So I had to bring the light, and I was holding the light there, and I said to the child, we'll call her Amy, Amy, come over to this light. And I heard her say, oh my gosh, I see my mommy. And I got so emotional, I almost dropped the light. Like, could you imagine right as she was going to walk in, it just poof? But it wouldn't have mattered anyway because her mom was right there and I was able to cross them over. There's been no more activity in the house. So that was just a really sweet story that I wanted to bring to you guys as we move closer to the end of the stream here. It was just something that made me feel so good and kind of reminded me why I do these types of things and why, people like us and people like me should never have to suppress our abilities unless that's our choice. All right. I am going to hook up with my spirit guides and specifically my ancestors, because I even pulled a card for myself last night. If you guys remember, it was ancestors. And I had never once in the whole time I've had the Vampire Oracle, which is almost 2 years now, ever pulled that card for anyone. That was the first time the card's ever been pulled. Okay. And I know that for a fact. If I went back and looked, you would never see me pull that card. I don't know. So now I'm putting it all together and I'm like, okay, this is who I have to go to as well in order to get some information as to what's going on here so that I can get it all done by the time I leave here Sunday night and go back up north. Because I'll still be coming here twice a month for the weekend, once by myself, once with RJ. But at least I can do that before I leave and just feel a lot better about that. So we've got about 10 minutes for any last thoughts. I've got a lot of work to do tonight.
Yeah. So is Jules in the chat today?
I don't see her.
I haven't seen her at all.
Well, I'm going to bring this up real briefly. We were talking in chat last night on the stream, and she had mentioned that she was having difficulty when she was putting up her own personal shield, which, she's like me. She imagines, creates this bubble of light around herself. And that she was getting bright red sensation light coming from her stomach. And of course, I immediately got that it was calling attention to that she has a energetic blockage in her sacral chakra. And so I just wanted to mention that. Hopefully she'll rewatch this later. And okay, so Jules, if you see this, I want you to get yourself some red jasper. And when you do your meditations,
I might have sent her some of that.
Put that on your solar plexus. So that should help you work through that blockage. Also, take the time to really sit down and think about what that blockage could mean. Think about that is the area of the body that's, part passion. Is there a blockage around, maybe you're not feeling as creative, and there's, maybe there was something that happened. Somebody said something to you that kind of made you withdraw that creativity, and that creates that energetic blockage. So, really try to look into that and work through that in your meditation and working with the red jasper. And if I pick up on anything else, I will send a relay race message to you through Gemma.
Yes. I'm going to point her here.
Working with my guides. So
because
that will help.
Jules and I have been working together. She's one of the people who I've been working with week after week to clear a lot of negativity, energy, entities. But as I always say, I can't do everything. I am very good with entities. Energy for other people, I don't want to say not so much, because I'm pretty good at it, but I can't remove energetic attachments. I say it all the time. I can remove entity attachments. And one of the things Jules and I have been working on is getting rid of all that other, the entity attachments, the trauma bond attachments, the boundary issues, those types of things. And I did mention to her that there may be other energetic blockages that I might just not be seeing, because I am not a see all, know all, cure all. Nobody is. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I mean, I wish that I was able to do that, to energetically go in and pull and remove, because I would do it for myself. I think a lot of the blockages to my own manifesting ability, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much work I do, nobody can do it all themselves. And a lot of things just can't be done for yourself. I mean, I'm sure there are people who can do that for themselves. I'm not one of them. I can remove entities. So with energy, so I will definitely direct her here. Stephen, if you have anything else, I've got a business call at around 9:05, and then I have to call RJ, and then I have writing, because I'm still nowhere near done with that 4th book.
I'm good.
What was the subject?
The 4th book? Black Eyed Kids.
The Black Eyed Kids. Okay.
Yeah, I want to do everyone loved the short stories. Okay. Everyone, book number 2 is the bestseller, and I don't just believe that's because of the name on it. The only thing I ever hear is, man, I love short stories. So I want to do a book of short stories. But I also want to do a book about maybe the entities, the spirits that I've gotten to know throughout my life from the time I was a little girl. And each chapter will be a different one of them, and just tell their stories. I don't believe what I write has to be quote unquote scary. I just believe it has to be true. So I'm going to run that by my publisher, but I think that would be a great way to give credit to some of the amazingly hilarious, sometimes terrifying, just oddness that has been my life, and the people, the deceased people in it, ever since as long as I can remember. So I'm working on something like that, but there is going to be a second book of short stories coming up very soon. It's probably going to be book 5. I don't know. Probably the same thing like Encounters with Evil, maybe even a part 2, because you guys just loved that so much. Speaking of which, the links to Amazon Kindle paperback in the description box. Lara's information, her Facebook and her email are in the description box as well, guys. So hit her up if you guys have any additional questions, any questions specifically for her. If anyone knows where Darling Deb is, I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks, so I'm just hoping that she's okay. If any of you guys have her personal number or anything like that. I also haven't seen Eris. He wasn't around last night, but he was there Monday, so maybe he's just taking a day or two off, whatever.
I know he's got a weird schedule. He works a really weird schedule. So
thanks for coming out. I definitely appreciate all of you. I wish I could just sit here all night and chat with you guys. I am going home on Sunday. It's a big deal to be back in my own home again, and I'm super excited about it. But I also have not packed a single thing. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, I have mainly clothes and stuffed animals. I mean, clothes, stuffed animals, and jewelry.
What are you going to just set stuffed animals free? Are you going to take them out in the yard and go, be free?
Aside from my altar. So the only thing that really needs to be packed is that altar. And I just don't want to take it all down and put it back up again, but I'm going to have to.
You said like, Eris's name.
I'm like, I
obviously
need my altar.
Name too much. He's here.
Oh, he's coming, too many times. Hi, Eris.
What's up, Eris?
Yeah, we said your name too many times and you showed up sneaky.
I'll be glad for the end of the world so I don't hear about every day.
Yeah. Get it?
No.
When you don't hear about the end of the when the end of the world, you'll be happy when it comes because you'll be done hearing about it the whole time that it got there.
Oh, I was just asking about you too, Eris. Thank you, Miss Shelley. I really appreciate you guys. Also, everyone who donates. I told you I'm struggling a little bit this week, so you guys have really helped me out. New England Dirt Ready. I have 2 stuffed animals. They're stuffed with guts and bones and muscle and blood and organs. Yes,
I
your
have one
kitty
too.
cats.
And I have a goofy one that likes to bark.
Yeah,
I
he sure
have an
does.
idea that I want to run by you. I'll send you a text,
Okay,
okay?
sounds good to
That
me.
I think it'll help both of us. But I did want to pop back
Oh, that's right.
and say, as far as the energy healing, I am a certified energy healer. I am willing to, I can work remotely. And if you wanted to shoot me an email and just say, hey, this is what I've got going on. Is this something that we can work with? I'll do a consultation. No cost, no none of that.
I
And
always say I'm going to do
I can
that,
at
and
least
then I
get you
don't.
started. Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? Before I shut my computer down right now, I'm going to email you because I feel like that is a big piece of what's missing in my own spiritual healing. All of the victimization I suffered at the hands of other people and at the hands of myself. Addiction doesn't just wash off you.
Right.
Physical, sexual, mental, verbal, emotional abuse does not just wash off you. So just because I can help others with those things, I do feel very stuck on myself. And I feel like it's really blocking me from being where I feel I should be right now. You guys, I could tell you were back with hubby. Your hair has been down. Taking a little better care of how I look, I suppose. I am feeling sexy. You are sexy, Smoochie. All right, guys, let me get out of here. Go do my conference call. Do what I got to do. Lara, I'm going to email you right now. Ghost Dragons, I will talk to you a little bit later. And everyone, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Don't forget Monday morning, part 1, H.H. Holmes and the Murder Castle at 11 a.m. Eastern. I will be at my monthly doctor appointment, so there will be no live stream. And I probably won't be in the premiere, but I will try to get there. All right. And don't forget to check out the description box. You'll find Lara's information, my information, all that fun stuff. And if you need me, email me. Bye-bye.